Now, as you know, there are many opportunities to watch our great opinion primetime lineup. It starts at 5 o'clock and goes all the way through to Reader at 11. And I love seeing my colleagues at their absolute best, which is virtually every night. They all put an awful lot of hard work into their shows and try to come up with not just interesting angles, but certainly try to move the ball forward, whatever it happens to be. And sometimes that means that, yes, there will be a topic that pops up where we'll all kind of have a say on it. So I am not at all naive to the idea that sometimes once we get to this point in the night, that you have perhaps seen other stories on other shows. Now, that's why we always try to come up with a slightly different angle on things, and you seem to respond. But there really is no other angle today, and we worked as hard as we possibly could to find one, on the Prime Minister lying about China. Now, I agree with all of my colleagues and all of the guests who have concluded what is so damn obvious, that yet again this bloke lies. Now, it all started with the Channel 9 story a couple of nights ago that we were able to bring you after the 6 p.m. news about China taking action against an Australian helicopter. If the Australian helicopter pilot wasn't fast enough, then they would have been blown out of the sky, and we'd be talking about something incredibly serious. But again, like everyone, I've got to just show you sometimes things for what they are. No spin, no difference, no new angle. The Prime Minister lied. He lies so often that it's a daily occurrence, but his office and the supporters in the media try to pretend that it is only Sky News Primetime that seems to notice. Well, let's all yet again see how the bloke lied. Here he was yesterday in Rockhampton saying that they'd learnt their lesson from when they tried to hide the last time China had an incident with the Australian Defence Force. This was, of course, back in APEC last year, where despite the fact he could have seen the Chinese president in the eye and said, mate, over here, don't do it, stop it. Instead, nothing was said. They probably sent a fax to a number hoping that it wasn't connected. A bit like when you ring that person that you don't really want to talk to and you're hoping for a voicemail. That's the level of interaction when it comes to unpleasantness between the Australian government and their new mates in China. Now, this is what the Prime Minister tried to make you believe.
We have made very strong representations at every level to China about this incident, which we regard as unprofessional and unacceptable. One of the things that had broken down over a period of time was any dialogue. And that's why we've used all of those avenues of communication to make our position on this incident very clear.
Every level. Not true. Now, every level includes leader to leader. That didn't happen. The reporting of Andrew Clennell was the one who confirmed what we already knew. He wasn't telling the truth yesterday, but he thought no one would find out. A bit like how they never told us this incident happened on Saturday. It was only when Andrew Probyn at Channel 9 approached the Defence Minister that we got to know anything about it. If something as serious as this takes place, you would expect within seconds of it happening that the officials are told in Canberra, and we'll give them a day or so, but the public should know virtually straight away as well. Because when it comes to the safety of the people who defend the country, no exceptions, no weasel words. When it's this dangerous, you tell the people responsible to stop. Or your meeting to Canberra is off in a few weeks' time. Again, the reporting from Andrew Clennell, which proves the Prime Minister is yet again lying.
Well, Sky News can reveal there's been no attempt by any minister in the Albanese government, let alone the Prime Minister, to have a conversation with the Chinese government about this. Government sources have told me that the contact that has occurred has been between the Defence Forces, Defence official to Defence official, and the Foreign Affairs Department to Foreign Affairs Department. So the stance of the Albanese government at the moment is now to await a formal and official response from the Chinese government, after which there might be that ministerial representation.
Again, we have waited till voicemail. We've called when we know the person is busy. We've sent the email to an old address. We've sent a fax to a number that doesn't exist anymore. That's how urgent they take it. When confronted about it, the Prime Minister said, anything but the obvious.
Well, the Ambassador has already been spoken to about this issue, as has people in Beijing. This is unacceptable and it was unprofessional. The explanation given overnight by Chinese authorities does not satisfy any change to the position that we've taken. Indeed,
sweep it under the rug, pretend it doesn't happen, Jedi mind trick, it's not as serious as it seems. No, I don't want to go to war with China. I don't want Australia to get into a position where it is in that position. But let's also not pretend that they haven't shined lasers in our pilots' eyes. They haven't already sent metal shavings into our planes. They haven't already had spy ships off the coast of Australia. They haven't already hacked the Australian Parliament. They haven't already hacked ASIO. Seriously. For their part, China, well, of course, they know who they're playing with here. The handsome little boy who doesn't want to upset them.
What truly happened was an Australian military aircraft deliberately flew within close range of China's airspace in a provocative move that endangers China's maritime and air security.
Now, next month, the Chinese Premier, the one below the President, is coming here to Australia. It's part of the resetting of relationships after Australia did that horrible, evil act of war and asked China to explain what happened with a global pandemic that ended up killing millions of people and is killing thousands of people in Australia to this day. Now, the response of the government, rather than this garbage that they're serving up, should be apologise or you're not welcome next month. Oh, but we couldn't possibly do that. Because what would China do in retaliation when they are in the wrong, when they almost killed members of our Defence Force on the helicopter? Oh, taxes on this and tariffs on that. And an awful lot of people who understandably want to make money in tough times always want us to choose the dollar over decency. Oh, we've got to have the relationship with China. They're way bigger. It's about whether you stand up for yourself. And when we've got a liar like this bloke telling us about a story the government didn't tell anyone, media discovered the story, just like the last time the bloke was face to face with the Chinese leader and he didn't have the stones to talk about it then. Because you know and I know, the money works. The pockets of voters work in this Prime Minister's favour. But you have to be willing to risk those things when a country almost kills members of your Defence Force, let alone injures them last year in the sonar attack. So unless China says sorry, which they won't, why should we be rolling out the carpet for the people who do this?